الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters, this is lesson number 8 of our commentary on Al-Murshid al-Mu'in ala al-Daruri min ulum al-Din. And today, inshallah, we're going to speak about Zakah. We're going to speak about Zakah, and we're going to speak about we're going to speak about Zakah, and Siyam, inshallah. I'll try to speak about Zakah and Siyam. So the poem here, Imam Ibn Ashir says, Zakah is charity. Zakah is charity. And when we speak about charity here, we're speaking about regular charity, which is one of the pillars of Islam. And it means purification. That means purifying yourself, purifying your money. And it's obligatory, and it's one of the pillars of Islam by the book and the Sunnah, and all scholars agree about that. So there's no no one says that it's not obligatory or something like that. There's no conflict between scholars about that. And some scholars even say that the one that doesn't pay his zakah, he's not Muslim anymore. He's considered as a non-Muslim. So therefore we have to know what are the pillars of zakah, and what are its obligations, and what are all things that have to do with zakah. So the poem here gave us the main idea about zakah that every Muslim has to know. So he says here, rahimahullah, فرضت الزكاة فيما يرتسم عين وحب وثمار ونعم. Okay, so this means that zakat is the alm you must give to the needy from your surplus wealth, so you don't get too greedy. It's made as a poem, even in English, so they didn't take the exact words, but anyway, zakat is given on crops, livestock, and your cash. For crops, it's given upon harvests, so don't stash. So therefore, these two, or these poems, or these verses of the poem say that zakat is not supposed to be taken from any kind of money. It's in specific money, which is here crops and livestock and cash. And the cash, it's originally gold and silver, and from the gold and silver we have all other types of banknotes and these stuff that we use nowadays, because in the ancient days people used to use gold and silver to make them as money. But nowadays we don't use silver coins or golden coins. We use these banknotes that used to have a golden amount that gives it its amount. But nowadays the money don't have this type of thing. Actually, there's no banks that have gold that cover all their banknotes. So what makes the banknote strong or weak is the economical situation of the state. So therefore, what are the conditions that make zakat obligatory? What are the conditions that make zakat obligatory? Scholars say that it has conditions of being obligatory, which are the conditions of all types of other things in your life that make you responsible, which is Islam and being freedom. And what concerns zakah is a specific amount that has to do in every type of these things that we spoke about, the crops and the livestock and the cash. So there is a specific amount. Not anyone has any type of crops or any type of livestock or whatever, or any amount of money in his pocket, he has to get zakat. It has a specific amount. And yes, and the fourth condition is that you possess the money. You possess the crops. You possess, it's under your hand. It's not out of your hand. It's not out of your hand. And a pass of a real lunar year, a lunar year that passes completely. So the lunar year, but actually lunar year has to do with livestock, has to do with crops and not crops, with livestock and cash, livestock and cash. But the crops, it doesn't have anything to do with it. And I'm going to speak about that, inshallah, later. What are the conditions that make the zakat or the regular charity accepted? It's the condition, the intention, and getting it out after it has to be getting out after passing the whole year. And giving it to the governments, the Islamic government actually. If there's no Islamic government, you just do that by your hand. And paying it in 8 types of 8 categories. We're going to speak about them inshallah, because it's not supposed to be given to anybody or just get it out. No, it has to have. There are categories that you are supposed to give either all of them or one of them. So he says that this that the zakat is in 3 types of things, which are the cash and the cash money and gold and silver and livestock and crops. And when we speak about livestock, we're speaking about the camels and cows and sheep. And when we speak about the sheep or the rams in general, we're speaking about sheep and goats. These 2 types. I'm going to speak about that inshallah when we go in details. So he says, في العين والأنعام حقت كل عام يكمل والحبوب الإفراك يرام والتمر والزبيب بالطيب وفي ذي الزيت من زيته والحب يفي. For livestock and money, it's given once a year. For crops, you must give 1/20 of the ear. If you used irrigation, okay, that's another story. So as I told you, in the livestock and the money, it's given once a year. But for crops, you must give 1/20 of the ear of the thing. That means 1/20 of the type of crops that you have. So how do you know that it has to Now he's going to start actually by crops. So what are the crops that you have to give them as charity? What is the amounts that they have to reach to? What are the conditions that have to do with it? So he says, if you use, for crops you must give 1/20 of the ear. If you used irrigation, else you give 1/10. For money, you have to give 20.5% of your liquid assets, but only if you hold for 1 year the price of 85 grams of gold. About 3 ounces, 609 dry liters. It's the minimum harvest. That's nothing for cedars. That's 70 bushels after removing straw, and after produce dries and is no longer grow. Now it says here that in the crops and in the livestock, in the crops, when are you supposed to get it out? Actually, when you see that it starts to be ready to be eaten. That means it's good to be eaten now. So he says, like in dates and in raisins, it has to be sweetie, and in you get it out of the oil of the olive, for example, olive and sesame. You get it out of the oil, not you don't give sesame, or you don't give olive, not olive. You don't give grapes. You don't give grapes. No, you don't give olives. You give the oil of the olive, olive oil, and you give the oil of sesame. Sesame, yeah. And for the other types of crops, it has to be ready to be eaten, yeah. And how much do you get out of the crops? You get it's in the normal cases, but in the case that you make an effort and you pay for that and you get some things that when it's in the normal cases, that means it's you use only rain to take care of the crops, only the rain. So you get 1/10 from the crops. But when you use some machines and stuff like that, and you keep on getting the water out of getting it from other places, and you're paying money for that, and you're making an effort, so therefore you just give half of that, half of the tenth. So half of the tenth, therefore, how much do you get out of that? How much do you get out of that? And how much is the amounts that you have to get out of it? Now, when you gather the crops, and you have from them an amount that is here 60 صاع أو 6 أو 5 أوسق 5 وسق. 5 وسق. What is wasaq? The wasaq is 60 sa'. What is 60 sa'? The sa' is 4 mud, and the mud is nearly 2.17 kilogram. So therefore, al-wasaq is nearly 130 kilograms. 130 kilograms. This is only 1 wasaq. We're speaking about 5 wasaq. Which is actually a big amount. It's not so big, actually. So from this amount of 5 wasaq, you are supposed to give 1/10 or half of it, as I mentioned right now. And this is after preparing it, and after drying the dates and the raisins, which are grapes, to make them as raisins. And after all these are ready to be eaten, Now he says that you must also give zakat on money you did loan. Okay. Gold, silver you own is a liquid asset, like coins, blocks, roads, or an oddly shaped nuggets, like coins, blocks, rods, thread, or an oddly shaped nuggets. You must also give zakat on money you did loan after you get it back, but for 1 year alone. That's if the return date is over a year set. Else you factor it in as a liquid asset. You can deduct from assets if you took a loan. Business people give zakat. Okay, that's another story. Now, actually, this translation is not it's not exactly as the poem that I'm reading. But anyway, when the crops are 5 wasaq, therefore you get out of it as I told you. But now, in case that we're speaking about the gold is 200. The gold is 200 dirhams. The dirham here is considered, the 200 dirhams is considered nearly 600 grams. That's why he mentioned here 600 grams of gold. Now he says here, gold and silver you own liquid assets. Look where he says, yeah, that's 70 bushels after removing straw, and after produce dries 70 bushels after removing straw, and after produce dries as no longer raw. Of your liquid assets, but only if you hold for 1 year prices, about 3 ounces, 609 dry liters. So, what is the amount of gold that when it reaches and 1 year passes over it, then you have to get your zakat from it? It's nearly 624 grams. Nearly to 624 grams. For the gold, it's 20 dinar, 20 dineros, which is nearly 88 grams. Let us say 90 grams. Let us say some scholars make it 85, some say 80, some say we can say 90. It's between these. How much amount that you have to get out of that? You have to get, he says here, 609 dry liters is the minimum harvest. That's nothing for cedars. Okay? for the 1 year price of 85 grams of gold. Okay, therefore 85 grams of gold. Gold and silver you own is a liquid asset like coins, blocks, rods, thread, or an oddly shaped nuggets. You must also give zakats on money you did loan after you get it back, but for 1 year alone. That's if your return date is your return. That's if the return date is over a year set. Else you factor it in as a liquid asset. The amount that you have, whether it's 80 grams or 85 or 90 of gold and 600 of silver, and you add to it what you have more than that, and then you divide it by 40. You divide it by 40. Because in either case, they must give 2.5%. 2.5% of the gold and of the silver. Of the gold and of the silver. Okay. If they mine gold or silver, they'll have to give zakats. If it's only 2.5%, that's not a lot. 2.5% is the amount of money that you get out of gold or silver or the money that we have today. The question is, how do we count the money that we have today now? I have dollars. I have euros. I have reals, whatever. Is it comparing it with gold or comparing it with silver? Some scholars say you compare it with silver and that's good for the needies. Others say no, that's a lot. You compare it by gold because gold is the amount of money that everybody used to use, and it doesn't differ a lot. So therefore, they say it's better to get it out of silver, out of gold. And others say out of silver, and I choose to get it out of gold, not out of silver. So you compare it with gold. So if you have an amount of money that is nearly 200 20 dineros, which is nearly 80 grams or 85 grams of gold. Therefore, in that case, if you had 1 year passing, 1 lunar year passing over it, therefore you are that's the amount that you have to get out. Okay? Okay. Hi. Okay, now this is another case. Now these are the people who have transactions, sale and buy. You can deduct from assets if you took a loan. Business people give zakat on goods for sale shown. They estimate current prices at which they are sold. Unwilling to sell them till the market up high, so that their profits can really reach to the sky. Now we have, for them they pay zakat after selling the good if they had it for a year for the price that could. We have what is called the loans. If you gave somebody money, and he still didn't give you the money back, are you supposed to get zakat out of that money? Or he is supposed to get the zakat? No. you are responsible for getting the zakat out of that money because it's your money. But if you're not sure that he will give it back to you because he took so and so and so and so and so money, so therefore the Malikis say you are not supposed to give him the money until you're not supposed to give the amount of money. Wait a second. Yeah, until you have the money, or else maybe the money won't come back to you. So therefore, actually, you have to be patient until you get your money. And when you get your money, even if it remained with them for years and years, you just pay for 1 year. That's it. زكاة والعرض ذو التجري ودين من دار قيمتها كالعين ثم ذو احتكار زكاة لقبض ثمن أو دين حيا عينا بشرط الحول للأصلين زكاة لقبض حدث أو زكاة لقبض ثمن أو دين عينا بشرط الحول للأصلين. Okay, what does he want to say here? He says for them, they pay zakat after selling the good. If they had it for a year, for the price they could. Case, it's in either case, they must give 2.5%, but there's no zakat on goods that are to be lents. There's no zakat on goods that are supposed to be lents. If they mine gold or silver, they'll have to give zakats. It's only 2.5%. That's not a lot. For every 5 okay, now we went to the council. Look, brothers. Now, the businessmen are 2 types of businessmen. We have businessmen that have a market and they sell every day. They sell a lot of commodities there. And we have guys that don't sell until they find a very good transaction and then they sell. They can sell a piece of land. They can sell something that is very expensive, like a jewel, like anything like that. So what about these guys? How do they get out their zakats? These 2 guys, the first one is called, according to the Maliki books, he's called Mudir, director. He keeps on selling and buying. So he's a businessman. He has a market, or he sells every day. So what does this guy do? If the amount of money that he started his transaction with is 2.5 from gold, or 2.5 no, sorry, not 2.5, no. If it's an amount that is about nearly 20 dinars, 20 dinars of silver or anything else, it's nearly 80, we said 80 grams of gold, nearly the amount that is nearly 80 grams of gold, or say 85. Okay, therefore, if you have a capital that you're going to start with is more than that. And a lunar year passed, so in one of the months you stop, and then you go counting everything in your market. And given its amount that you can sell it with, not its price, because sometimes you can sell it less than it costs. And sometimes you sell it more expensive than it costs. So you say, okay, it'll be costed so and so, so expect that. And you count everything in your market, and you count the money that you have in your hand, and you count the loans that you give people. For example, you gave this guy so and so, this guy so and so. How much did you give him? So you count that, and if you expect that it's going to come back to you. And from everything, you get 2.5 of that. You get 2.5 of that. And you pay it. This is the mudir. Now the muhtakir, whenever he sells, for example, a piece of land, and it remain more than 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, etc. Whenever he sells with the amount of money that he likes, therefore he gives 2.5 of that in this as a charity. Did you get that? Is that clear? Okay, that's good. It's clear, inshallah. So these are the two types of, it's the same thing. For example, he has something very expensive like a computer, like whatever, and he just sells it when he finds the market is high. The amount is high, yes. So these are the commodities you sell and buy. And now we have things that you dress, you eat, your own car, all these things. Is there any zakat on these? No. You don't have anything that you possess. It's there. Nobody can, anything that you possess, no one can tell you get out of it zakat because it's yours. You're not doing, or else it's going to be difficult to live. The life is going to be complicated because everything you have to say, oh, I have to get zakat out of it. So normally, those are luxury things that you don't give money for. قال والفرض ذو التجري ودين من دار قيمتها كالعين ثم ذو احتكار زكاة لقبض ثمن أو دين عينا بشرط الحول مع الأصلين. Okay, after he finished how to get out your zakats, and from every type of these crops or livestock or animals or businessmen, how do they get out their zakats? Now he's going to speak about the crops. Livestock. Not the crops, livestock. For them, they pay zakat after selling the goods. For the price that's okay. In this case, they must give 2.5%. But there is no zakat on goods are to be sent. Yeah. So actually, there's no zakat on the goods that you use. And the goods that you don't make business with them. So they're not things that are considered amongst things that are that's a 1 year old. Okay, now pay attention to this. And this needs actually a table to show all these things. I wish I could have showed you a table. I'm trying to search for something like that. But if you have a gazelle, or you have a giraffe, or you have any animal in the world, if you have these, therefore, you are not asked to get if you have livestock, you're not asked to get money to pay zakat, except in these cases. For camels and crops, no, camels and cows and rams and cows and rams. So so the first thing is cows. The first thing is the camels. Sorry. So I'm going to read the verses and then I'll try to translate it. If they had, okay. If they, for every 5 camels, give a 1-year-old sheep. Every 5 camels. You have now 5 camels. You go and buy a sheep and give it as a charity. So you don't get from the camel. You don't give from the camels. Okay? So 5 camels is the nisab. It's called in Arabic nisab. Nisab is the amount which anything reaches, you have to get charity from it. So if the mine, gold or silver, they'll have to give zakat. 5%. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. For every 5 camels, 5 give a 1-year-old sheep. 1-year-old sheep, it's called jadha in Arabic. For 25, every 5, that means 5, 10, 15, 20. Until 20, you give every 5 1 sheep. 1, 2, 3, 4. It becomes every year you give 1 sheep for every 5 extra camels. Now when you reach to 25, for 25 give a she camel that's learned to leap. What do you mean by this? It says في كل 5 جمال جذع من غنم بنت المخاض مقنعة في 25 وابنة اللبون في 6 مع 30 تكون. 25 ابنة لبون. What did he call her here? He says a she camel that's learned to leap. She camel that's learned to leap. And it's a she camel that has 2 years and it's starting to have the third year. So it's 2 years old and more than 2 years old. More than 2 years old. 2 years and months. That is called Ibnatul Labun, the daughter of the one that has milk. That means her mother has milk because she delivered her. So she was delivered, so she's still suckling. And it says for that's a 1-year-old 36. Okay. في 25 وابنة اللون في 6 مع 30 تكون 46 حقة كفت جذعة 61 وفت. Okay. When it's okay. وهي ما لها 2 ودخلت الثالثة. Okay. وسميت بذلك لأنه ما ولدت من غير. When it's 46, you give what is called hiqqa. Hiqqa, it's a she camel that has 4 years. It's 4 years old, and it's called hiqqa because it is ready to be. You can ride it. And it's considered as an adult, so it can be intercoursed by a camel. So it can have it can be pregnant and all these things. So it's ready to be a full camel. Okay. So here says here a 4-year-old is just enough for 61. 76 give two 2-year-olds, not just one. So when you reach to 76, بنت لبون 76 وحقتان 91. So when you reach to 76, you give 2 from the camels that are still suckling, or that are the she camels that have nearly 3 years. So that's a 2-year-old each, 43-year. No, wait a second. A 4-year-old is just enough for 61. 76 give 2-year-olds and not just one. For 91, give 2 that are 3 years of age. This is 92. 91. Give 2 that are 3 years of age. 121 to 9. From 121 to 9, pick, says Malik, the sage, between 3 2-year-olds or 2 just under 4. 1 past 2 for every 40 if you have more. And 1 past 3 for each 50. So mix and match, give a bull for 30 cattle in batch. That's a 2-year-old, each 40, and a 3-year, okay. So it keeps on when you reach, okay, 2 years old, in 91, 2 3-year-old she camel, 3-year-old she camel, and when it's what is this? So it keeps on like that until it reaches in every 40 camels, you give 2. You give 1 she camel that has 2 years 2 years old, and in every 50 you give the she camel that has 4 years old. 4 years old. So he says, yes, they say 4. Hiqqa is 4 years old. Hiqqa is 4 years old, and Bintu Laboon is 2 years, and it's reaching to the 3rd year. So if we have, for example, 130, for example, if you have 130 camels, you give Hiqqa and 2 Bintu Laboon. What's Hiqqa? Hiqqa says 4 years old, 1 4 years old, and 2 from the 2 years old. 2 years old, which is more than 2 years old, yes. Now if you have 140, it's 2 camels, 2 she camels that have 4 years old, and 1 that has 2 years old. And it keeps going like that, 40 and 50, 30 and 40, 30 and 40, as I mentioned before. In every 40, you give a she camel that has 2 years, that is 2 years old, and in every 50, you give a she camel that have 4 years old. Okay. After we finished speaking about the camels, we're going to speak about the cows. So he says, إذا الثلاثين تلتها المئة في كل خمسين كمال الحقة وكل أربعين بنت للبون وهكذا ما زادت أمرها يهون عجل تبيع في ثلاثين بقر مسنة في أربعين تستطر وهكذا ما ارتفعت ثم الغنم. Okay. He says that in every 30 cows, in every 30 cows, you have now 30 cows, that's the nisab. When the cows reach 30 and 1 year passes, therefore you get out of the cows one cow that has 3 years old. That is 3 years old. But this is not a she cow, it's a cow. It's a you say buffalo. Anyway, it's a male cow, not a she cow. And you keep on until 39. So when it's 40, you give what is called musinna. Musinna, it's 4 years old. A 4 years old cow. And you keep on going like this. In every 30, you give a 3 years old, and in every 40, you give a 4 years old. Until it reaches to 59. When it reaches to 59, when it reaches to 60, you give two 2 years old. And when it's 70, you give that has 2 years old, and one that has 3 years old, and one that has, one that has 4 years old, one that has 4 years old. And when it reaches to 80, you give two. Now the zakat of the rams, he says, ثم الغنم شاة لأربعين مع أخرى تضم في واحد العشرين يتلو ومئة في واحد العشرين يتلو ومئة ومع ثلاثين ثلاث مجزئة وأربعا خذ من مئين أربعي شاة. He says here in the rams, when you have 40 rams, then and a year passes on them, therefore you start giving the charity from it. And you get, when it's 40, you get one, no matter it's male or female, that has 1 year old. And you keep every year giving one until it reaches to 120. Until it reaches to 120. So when it becomes 121, you give 2 rams. Until it reaches to 200. So when it's 201, you give 3 rams. Until it reaches to 499. So when it becomes 500, you start giving 5. And then it keeps on going like that. In every 100, you give 1 extra ram. So 600, 6 rams, 700, 7 rams, until the end. في واحد العشرين يتلو ومئة ومع ثمانين ثلاث مجزئة وأربعا خذ من مئين أربعي شاة لكل مئة إذ ترفعي. Okay. After understanding this, and this actually, if I had just a table, you can know everything in that table. And I'll try to send you, inshallah, this table that shows every category of these three categories. Now there are things that are important to know, have to be known in zakats. قال وحول الأرباح ونسل كالأصول والطار لا عما يزكى أن يحول ولا يزكى وقص من الغنم كذاك ما دون النصاب وليعم وعسل فاكهة مع الخضر إذ هي في المقتات مما يدخر ويحصل النصاب من صنفين كذهب وفضة من عين والضأن للمعزي وبخت للعراب وبقر إلى الجواميس اصطحاب القمح للشعير للسلتي يصار كذا القطان والزبيب والثمار. أوكي. مصرفها الفقير والمسكين وغاز وعتق عامل مدين مؤلف القلب ومحتاج غريب أحرار إسلام ولم يقبل منيب. He says, okay, here you can also give the price for crops and livestock. Okay. No partial zakat on the extra livestock that fall between the limits of which we do talk. Now, we said that we have 5 camels, and then 10, and then 15. So 6 or 7, there's nothing there extra. It's the same. So there isn't any extra between them. It keeps on from 5 to 10, you give only 1 ram. And from 10 to 15, you give 2 rams. But from 10 to 11, you don't give anything. From 11 to 12, you don't give anything. And that's how it goes. So the same thing we say on the camels, the rams, the cows. These fixed amounts, between them there's nothing extra. Between them there is nothing extra. This is very important to know. Now it says also livestock you buy, receive or inherits only if it was already past the limits. Now look, there is no zakat on what, okay. Now if you have 30 rams, and before the year finished, it became 40. Do you get out of it zakat? Yes, you get out of it zakat, because it was actually going to reach that. It was part of it. And if you have elders, I mean, rams that are ready, are mature, and you have small ones, are they counted? Yes, they are counted. The same thing if you have money, if you have a capital that you that reach to the amount that you have to get out of it, the money. For example, 80 what is the same cost of 80 kilograms of gold? But you have more than that. You have lots of money. So all that money is counted as if you don't only count the amount that the 20 dirhams or the 20 dinars or the 200 dirhams. You count even, or the 80 kilograms or the 600 kilograms of gold. You count even what is added to it, which was part of it. I mean, you made a transaction and you had new money, which is part of that money. You count it. Now, in case that you have money, extra money, but it's not from this type of money, you inherited it. It was given to you as a gift. It was, you just found it. Something like that. So is this considered as, do you get it? Is it considered as zakat? You don't consider it as part of it, but you count it to it, and then you start a new year. You count it to it, and you start a new year. When a new year passes, then you get the zakat out of it. So it's not considered as part of it. For example, let me give you an example. Now we said that zakat of gold is 20 dinars. 20 dinars. Okay? So you had 15 dinars. And then somebody gave you a gift, 5 dinars, it became 20. Do you get zakat out of it? No, you don't get zakat out of it. But when 1 year passes and it became 25, you get zakat out of it. You get zakat out of it. Okay, I think this is clear. But if you had money, or you had 30 rams, and it fertilized, it grew, it delivered new ones, and it became 40, do you have to get zakat out of it? Yes, you have to get zakat out of it. Although the year didn't pass on all of them, but they say that those ones that were delivered were part of the original rams that you had. Okay. Also, livestock buy, receive, or inherits only if it was already past the limits. There is no zakats on what a business needs to run. Okay. There is no zakat on what a business needs to run. Supplies, vehicles, machines like mills that are spun. Anything you possess, it's yours. You don't sell it. You don't give it to. You didn't buy it. You bought it for yourself, not for making it as a transaction or as a business. So it's yours. There's no zakat on it. There is no zakat on a personal position. Homes or vehicles or transportations. No woman's own jewelry, even if it's gold. No ranchers, horses, donkeys, birds that aren't bold. All these, there is no zakat on these types. Even if they were a lot, if they were a lot, as long as he's not selling them and buying and doing transaction with them, business with them. There is no zakat on many things farmers grow. Zakat is only for the crops we mentioned below. Wheat, barley, millet, rice, corn, peas, lentils, and bean, sesame, safflower, reddish seeds, not green. Not green. That means all the hold on, like what am I going to tell you? Okay, olive oil, dates, grapes, but that's all and nothing more. Others, no zakat on other fruits, spices, herbs, or honey, other vegetables, all nuts, linen trees, cotton plants. The list goes on, but we'll stop with these. So all these, there's no zakat on them. Unless they are, you're doing business in them. So you don't get zakat from them. You get zakat from the money that you get from them. Trees, wheat, and barley alike, all in one big group. So barley and wheat, you count them with each other. And from when you get from them the nisab, which is the amount that you have to get out of it zakat, then you get zakat out of them. Peas, lentils, and beans should be put in the same scoop. Different liquid assets types are treated the same. So group them together regardless of their name. Group together camels with 2 or only 1 hump. Treat goats and sheep. Put buffaloes and cows in a lump. Zakat can only be given to those neat. Okay, so these, you count them with each other. You have camels, they have 1 hump, they have 2 humps. You have a llama, which is considered as a camel actually, that doesn't have any any hump. So you count these all with each other. And yes. And if you have all the barley and these, barley and wheat, and all what has to do with these, and all other things that we just mentioned, types of grapes, this is green, this is red, or black, how do you call it? You count them all with each other. And, okay. Are counted with each other. Now, who do you give the zakat to? Who do you get it to? Zakat can only be given to those in need. Those that are poor or don't have anything to feed. Either they don't have money at all. They're so poor. Or they have money, but the money can't, they don't continue their month. They're always squeezed. So they need money actually. So these guys, you give them from the zakats. Those in debts, those that are away from home standard. They got lost, or they went to a country and then they fell out of money and they need to go back to their homes. So they need money. Those fighting for Allah's cause since it's demanded. So they're practicing jihad. They need money and you give them and help them. Those who collect, distribute, or manage zakat, they're businessmen. They're not business. They're citizens that work for that. So that's their job. So you give them their salary from the zakats. Those new Muslims and non-Muslims, though, whose hearts are sought. That means you want to grab them to Islam. You give them money, so they start loving Islam. All must be Muslim except the last one mentioned. So all these have to be Muslim. And to you wife, child, zakat may not be rationed. You're not allowed to give zakat to your family, your wife, because anyone you're responsible to pay for, you're not allowed to give from the zakats. Your wife, your children, but your son, if he grew and he became separated from you, or your daughter became separated from you, she got married, you're allowed to give them from the zakat. You cannot give it to your father or mother because you're responsible to pay for them, even if they grew, so you're not allowed to give them from the zakat if they're needy. You have to pay for them. You can nor you can give it to your sister or brother. No, you're allowed to give it to your sister and brother, and it's better. This translation is wrong. You're allowed to give it to your sister and brother. But anyone that is you're not sure, he's fishy, you're not allowed to give him. For example, he claims that he's poor, but you're not sure. You have some suspects that he's not poor. He's rich. He's not poor. Zakat can't be used to build masajid, schools, or walls, public works, roads, dams, artificial waterfalls. You're not allowed to do that. We have mentioned quite a bit of stuff in this poem, so we will stop here so it doesn't get too long. Okay, now we have to stop here. I'm so sorry and thank you very much to being patient with me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.